This is a recipe for a Sicilian style tomato based sauce. It is vegetarian, it has onion, it's got a bit of garlic in it as well, some tomato passata, and also I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of basil. So I'm going to start off with about 1 tablespoon of olive oil, just to coat that bottom of the saucepan there, and I'm going to let that heat up. When that oil is heated up, I'm going to add my onion, which is already diced. Okay, so I have 1.5 onion, so it works out to be just over 1 cup of sliced onion. And I've just roughly chopped that, and that's going to go straight into my saucepan. I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir, and I want to slightly cook it so it becomes slightly translucent. So I'm going to let that cook for just a little bit longer. I'm also going to add just a little bit of white wine. So that white wine will give it a little bit of depth of flavour. So that will cook into the onion, and even though it won't be prominent because we're going to cook out most of that alcohol, it'll have this lovely fruity flavour through it because of the grapes in the wine. I've used the Chardonnay, but it's just what I had in the fridge. Just going to add a little bit of salt to that, not much. Okay, so the smell of the alcohol is left. It's no longer in that saucepan. So to that, I'm now going to add 680 grams. It works out to be 720 mils of passata, and that's a puree. And I'm just rinsing out the bottle with just a little bit of water. It's probably about 1/4 cup of water. Stir that through. Now to that, I'm going to add my garlic. I have 2 cloves of garlic, and that's just been finely sliced, and I'm just going to add that in now. Because we haven't cooked off that garlic, it's going to be quite strong in flavour, which is perfect. I'm going to actually serve this with a potato gnocchi, so that rich flavour of the tomato as well as that garlic will work really nicely. Now just bring that to a boil, then I'll reduce that to a simmer. So my tomato now is just starting to boil. I'm going to add just a little bit more salt, and then I'll check if it needs any more later, but it should be about right. I'm going to add a little bit of cracked black pepper. And that way, as it's cooking, all of these flavours will infuse into that sauce. And I'm also going to add some chili as well, and this is a cayenne chili which I've sliced. I'm using all the seeds. I don't mind it a little bit spicy. Stir it through. And I'm just going to let that cook for about 20 minutes, and then that should be pretty good to go. Just keep an eye on it, continually stir it, because there is a chance that when it does reach that high temperature that it could catch to the bottom of the saucepan, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want that burnt flavour through it. So just give it a stir now and then, but that looks pretty good and already starts to smell quite nice. And what I'm looking for is, when I taste it or smell it, I don't want to be able to smell the acidity of the tomato. I want that cooked out, and all that's left is the natural sugars that are in those ingredients. And then once that's done, we'll just finish it off with some fresh basil, but that's already coming along quite nicely. So my tomato sauce has been cooking for about 30 minutes altogether, and I've just had a taste. It tastes really lovely. So I've turned it off, I've taken it off the heat. You can still see that garlic that hasn't been cooked completely through, and you can taste that fresh garlic through that sauce, so it's beautiful. It's got a little bit of spice, not too much. Now what I have here is some basil. Basil and tomato are a marriage made in heaven. They go beautifully together. I've got about 1 cup roughly chopped basil, and I'm just going to add that right at the end there. While it's still got a bit of temperature, that tomato, that will release some of the aroma from that basil. And I'm also going to give it a little drizzle of olive oil as well. Now I'm just going to stir that through, and that is a really simple tomato-based sauce, which will go beautiful with a potato gnocchi.